welcome to a bonus episode. I don't know if it's a bonus episode. It's like a sneak attack episode because we've just recorded an episode a few minutes ago. Becky had to go. Lily and I are going to jump on and record this additional episode that we're going to drop at some point. So this is out of the timeline. But we're calling this Shy and Lily, the prequel, BB before Becky. We're going to talk specifically about the pop culture in the years between when Lily was born in September of 1982.
Exactly. Because there are definitely things that you and I remember watching, and Becky's like, we didn't watch that, or I don't remember that. There's a few, but there's definitely a pre.
Yeah. All the way through Becky's birth. So every movie we are going to discuss here is going to be
September 30th to December 14th, 1984.
I checked the release dates of every single one of these.
Amazing.
If one got through, maybe. Okay, and we'll do it through a major comparathon. Like, that's the only way to do this, is going to be through a comparathon. But first, Lily, what was life like when it was just the two of us from 79 to 82?
You know, I think that we were missing some balance in the force. I definitely think Becky's brought balance to the force. But when it was just me and you, I feel like it was like good versus evil. There was you, and then there was me. And
who's the good and who's the evil?
You, obviously, you're the golden child. And I'm the Darth Vader to your Luke Skywalker. Or
it is true that mom and dad still to this day talk about how I was the perfect baby.
And I was terrible.
They're like, all you did was sleep. Once in a while, we had to tickle your feet to wake you up so you would eat. And then you went back to sleep.
And I basically didn't sleep. Like, I just screamed. And although my mom says I did sleep, but I screamed a lot and I had separation anxiety.
You had the shorter labor.
I did have it much shorter. I came fast and furious, but then I stayed furious. And I was very fast. I was very active. Whereas you took a long time to be born and then have been chill pretty much ever since. And mom has always said to me that she was like, well, I had the worst behaved kid ever, so I might as well have a third kid.
Right.
Because I asked her, I was like,
Becky, if it wasn't, you're the Empire Strikes Back of this family. We would not have the Return of the Jedi,
without Empire
movie of all.
Right.
Without Empire. So,
and New Hope is a little bit boring, so that's why they have Empire.
That's actually right. If each of us was a Star Wars movie, I'm definitely New Hope.
I'm definitely Empire.
Like, kind of annoyingly a good guy and a little bit
boring.
Your Empire, a lot critically maybe the best one of all because of all the conflict and tension and excitement. And then very cute, especially if you look at Becky's kids who are Becky,
picking up the rear, bringing balance back to the Force.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that very much we were meant to be three in our family. Like, it makes perfect sense to me. But there was 2 years where it was just the two of us. And I think that it bonded us in a way that is very special because there's so many pictures that looks like, we were just like this, like, very cute tag team. We worked creatively.
Yes.
We had our own theater production.
Since we were little, we have worked creatively.
We've worked creatively
together forever.
Since the beginning of time. We've been doing bits together and have pursued creative theatrical endeavors together.
Yeah. Our parents had to watch a lot of skits.
Yeah, we did a lot of skits. And so I think that was like rooted in this time that we had as just like our own siblings. And the time that we spent sharing a room where, where
my G.I. Joe Havoc will never be the same because it has your barf on it. You barfed in my toy. You could have barfed anywhere.
And you
stuck your head in my toy bin and went, I still have the image in my head of you like, I'm going to throw up in your scratchy voice. Just going head first into it.
Into the toy bin. And
we also had some big moments. We had, I think probably maybe everyone has hours of home videos, but there's some that you watch all the time. And I would say the Casablanca or, the Godfather of our home videos is your first birthday party.
Yeah. That's definitely has very good, like, rewatching hours. Like,
it has, first of all, it has Tio Mario's mustache.
Yeah.
It has mom with like feathered, almost like Farrah Fawcett, almost
like
Farrah
if you weren't sure if it was the 80s,
right.
like Yeah. Early 80s, because then mom goes full perm.
That transition.
Right. It was like the late 70s to early 80s with the feathered. And then she goes eventually full 80s.
You have you covered in cake with dad licking the cake plate. They're so gross.
Yeah.
And then
his huge glasses. It's like huge 80s glasses.
And then you have best supporting actor Shai Corman giving some of the greatest
older brother
child
stink eye
at his sister's first birthday ever, which included
he held a silent protest on the slide.
Yeah, there's a home video of me just standing at the top of the slide with like a line of kids, little Anton Orlin and Brian Gilberg. They're all just like sad and angry, and I'm refusing to move. And then the epilogue. And now remember, another dad was recording. We didn't have our own video camera. Stephen Orlin was filming this. He made sure to keep in the video the epilogue, which is mom like pulling me down by my head off the slide.
Yeah. Talk about some, respectful parenting right there.
Yeah, it was amazing.
In today's world, mom would have to tell all the other kids, Shai doesn't feel like going down the slide.
Right.
So we're going to have to let Shai stay at the top of the slide until he's ready to come down.
Right. Live his truth.
Live his truth. Exactly. In those days,
the answer was you be a mensch.
You get down that slide right now and get your shit together. You're going inside.
And you're going to watch it over and over again. Just in case.
So you're reminded of your shame.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the great threats mom and dad did, was like when you were misbehaving or like acting out, they'd be like, do you want us to videotape this? And you have to watch how you're behaving. Ooh.
Over and over again.
Yeah. So bless you. Yeah. It definitely was a great lesson.
And we're obviously now going to have to release it with this episode, but let the public, give them what they want.
And I would say shout out to the Orleans. Mom and dad just traveled in South Africa with them. They're which was wild.
They're guides.
So the other, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I'm saying the other thing that happened during this time was I went back and so I researched that exact time frame. And not only were there some amazing movies, there's some that I didn't see till 30, 40 years later. So they're included on this list we're going to go through. But when I look at some of the movies that are quintessential bedrock movies for our pop culture knowledge, so many of them came out between your birth and Becky's birth that my mind is kind of blown.
And I do say that, like, look, I am very grateful that we're all so close in age and also close, but I do think a fundamental difference was that you and I are 3 years apart, even though you never remember that. And me and Becky are 2 years apart, which is great, but that extra year somehow like expands my pop culture knowledge as a child because you were given like the leeway of permission of things that you were given to watch. And I was just like shoved into the like den with you to watch them.
Lily
is astounding.
This list. Okay. So when I look at the ones that I remember seeing when we were little, so
like, no wonder you have so many weird dreams. You have really weird dreams, dude.
Nightmare fuel. These are like nightmare fuel. These movies. These were all incredibly popular movies at the time. Nightmare fuel. Okay, so the only way I think we can go through this is with a comparathon.
Okay, but you've started with the best one at the top, so I don't know what it's going to be a boring episode.
So I'll put it at the bottom.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put that first top because that to me, that's my Desert Island movie.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go back. We'll end on that one just because it'll be harder than you think. Okay. We'll end on that one. Okay. But let's just go through here. Okay. and your reactions. Okay. So we have The Dark Crystal, which is a Jim Henson puppet movie about
that movie's garbage. I put that movie in the garbage. So that terrified me. So that comes out the year of my birth. How old do you think I actually was when I saw it? Because you would have been 3. It came out the year I was born. By the time you're 5, you're watching that movie. I am 2 years old.
I know. No, but mom and dad rented that movie right away, and they recorded the making of the movie off PBS. And so I watched the movie in the making of
countless times,
50 times by the time you were 2.
Right. Exactly.
The Skeksis.
So by the way, I was exposed to this kind of Muppetry from a very young age.
Okay, so The Dark Crystal, which comes out in December of 82, against Buckaroo Banzai and The Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension, which came out in 84. A little bit before Beck was born. Which one do you pick?
Banzai, for sure. I remember
Peter Weller, Jeff Goldblum.
And like, while all those guys I appreciate so much now, Lithgow scared I didn't watch Lithgow in another thing until Third Rock from the Sun.
It's so
because
funny
he was so scary.
He can be so terrifying, right?
He's a genius.
And he can be so funny.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So Lithgow, and Christopher Lloyd and Dan Hedaya and Ellen Barkin, like those are all the people in this movie that has aliens and samurais and
like we're talking that it's I read the dates like a European. So is that August 10th? What are the dates? How do the dates work?
Yeah, August 10th.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was like, or is that the 8th of October? That's okay.
Right. American dates.
Out,
I say it the way we say it out loud. August 10th.
So August 10th, mom and dad probably rented that as mom's pregnant.
Yeah.
And like about to have Becky, and we all watched that, I bet, as a family.
I mean, I remember them telling me about it, and I watched it definitely as soon as they got it on video. Okay, here's a great one because I just watched, and you get a shout out for this one because Comedians in Cars Getting Comedy. You're the person I associate with that show.
I love that
just
show.
Watched with my daughter the Eddie Murphy episode,
which I love. That's a great episode.
And when you go back and you think about like him in the early mid '80s, like
how they came up together.
What a Murphy star Eddie Murphy was then? Rock star, right?
Yeah.
Not just a comedian, a rock star. So Beverly Hills Cop or Buckaroo Banzai?
I have to go with Cop, not so much because I like it more, because I think Buckaroo Banzai is incredible, but I think the amount of hours that were spent watching all three of those movies,
especially the first two, because I taped them off the TV,
right,
off of like a PG broadcast of it.
And the like do like it's just them, and that definitely not appropriate for soundtracks, but also not appropriate for kids. But like I remember Nielsen, what's her name? Bridget Nielsen?
That's Beverly Hills Cop 2, but yeah.
Right, too. Like
we watched that one more.
Right, we watched that one more.
The first one is with the bananas in the tailpipe.
Right. I mean, I watched and like Judge
Brunson Pinchot.
And Judge Reinhardt, and I mean, like, I have to go with Cop. Yeah.
Okay.
Those movies. Now, do those stand up? Can you watch those today? Do they stand up, or are they like?
I plan to rewatch them very soon.
Okay, well, you let me know.
Banzai to me would be my pick, but I agree. You're right about Cop. Okay. National Lampoon's Vacation, and I will tell you the first time I saw that movie, it was on VHS in Nana and Papa's house in Brooklyn. So we're talking 83, 84, and that is like, it's like a funny comedy, I guess, but it is very R-rated. And there's with boobies. The first time.
That's the first time I ever saw boobies on TV.
I don't remember the boobs. What I remember is.
Oh no, that's European Vacation. Just kidding. This is just Vacation.
This one has a lot of
boobies too. Oh,
has boobs. Yeah, as well. But I don't remember that. What I remember is there's a scene. It's actually like a totally problematic, insensitive scene by today's standards. But there's a scene where a character says to another character, "F your mama." And that led to the first time of me saying
the F word. Did you get your mouth washed out with soap?
No, because I didn't know what it was. It just sounded funny the way the character said it. So I just said it to mom, like right away. Like I just repeated
Oh my
it.
God.
And she was like, "Do not say that." And I got a lot of trouble.
I mean, I think there's only one person to blame, mom, for letting you watch that. Or dad.
All right. Cop or Vacation?
Cop.
Okay.
Because I saw Vacation, and it was funny, but I didn't watch it as many times as Cop.
Yeah, and it is a pretty R-rated movie, so I don't think we watched it a ton. Because the Beverly Hills Cop we watched was not the R-rated version. We watched the PG version on TV. Okay, here's a tough one. This is one of the all-times. BMX
this is going to win.
From Australia, Nicole Kidman.
It's going to win everything.
Kids on BMX bikes fighting robbers.
I guess Becky would have watched this too.
Becky watched a lot of these.
Right.
She absorbed a lot of these.
So if I'm going to go with a little bit of the like also in my like the way my criteria is working, I'm going to also kind of try and think about stuff that we would have watched just the two of us a little bit. I would say that Bandits. I mean, BMX Bandits
is so important to us.
Yeah, watched that thousands of times. That I guess is a kids movie.
It is a kids movie.
Yeah, kind of.
There's some
in the 80s.
In the 80s,
right.
I mean, again, all of these movies I've mentioned are, the first few not so bad, but like even BMX Bandits, which is again about kids
When
on
in the
BMX bikes,
cemetery,
there's the cemetery scene where they're being chased by the bad guys. Is terrifying.
they have to hide in a grave.
Right. They have to hide in a grave. Okay, here's another one. Nightmare Fuel, The Last Unicorn.
No, I fucking hate this movie. And I probably was forced. Let's look at the date. Last Unicorn is November 19th, 83. Right? November 19th, 83. And
oh, wait,
I
so
would
it
have
came out at, oh yeah, you were born. You were just born.
I was just born, and I'm sure it was like mom putting you in front of the TV watching that.
Oh yeah, because in those days, if it was a cartoon, it was a kid's thing. Even though there's like
so sad.
and-
Like the bull that's on fire or whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. BMX Bandits or Return of the Jedi? I just slipped that in.
BMX Bandits, because Jedi, well, I do remember seeing that really young. It was just the Ewok movie for me for many, many, many years. And like couldn't appreciate or give a shit about anything else.
Right. So you're just watching that last act.
Yeah. And like would definitely have gone back to BMX.
I mean, yeah. I mean, BMX Bandits like makes you want to have a pink BMX bike or an orange one for me. In that, I was always okay. Now, here's one that I don't know if you ever saw, but this is another one that I think is a cool movie. I think they're remaking it.
I think they are remaking it.
The Last Starfighter, which is actually it has a historical. There's a CGI element of that movie, like one of the earliest versions of CGI is in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, otherwise the effects are pretty goofy. Like it's not like as good as Star Wars, but some of the earliest CGI ever is in that movie. But that movie
that's
has a
really
part
cool. I didn't know that.
Where like a robot comes to Earth, the beta, and it has to like incubate to look like the kid that it's replacing, and they like pull off the blanket and they show this like molten zombie type character as it's transforming. It scared the living daylights out of me.
I've seen parts of it, but I don't even think I saw the whole thing. You must have not liked this movie because
that scene that I was telling you about scared the crap out.
That's how I know that like I may have seen parts of it, but this wasn't something that whatever I watched, you had to have loved because otherwise it wasn't on the TV. That's just how the rules go.
Fair. Okay, so BMX Bandits, or now this is one I didn't love, and it was freaking terrifying. What BMX Bandits and Supergirl with Helen Slater?
No, I definitely no BMX Bandits.
BMX Bandits or Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock. I didn't see that till I was much older because I've
never even seen it. I don't care about Star Trek. Next.
That's also got Christopher Lloyd in crazy makeup. All right, this one's for Beck because I still haven't seen this version of this movie. Don't really plan on it.
No.
BMX Bandits or Dune?
Oh my God, Bandits. I don't think Becky's even seen this version.
The one with
This is the David Lynch. Is this the David Lynch?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kyle MacLachlan, who I still confirm should never be in the desert. He's very miscast. He does not look like desert people, that guy.
BMX Bandits and the original Terminator, which I saw probably 10 years later or 8 years later, in around 92 or 93.
So that comes out in 84. Okay. And then you don't see it till you're saying 93.
I definitely the late 80s, early 90s. I saw it at a sleepover at Ian Michelle's house.
So I'm only going to say BMX Bandits because I would think, well, I bet you saw it. Then you came home and you're like, Mom, I have to watch this movie again.
No, and then the first Terminator scared me quite a bit because there's a scene where he's stalking, I think it's Bill Paxton, where he is stalking the two friends in the house and like murders them in cold blood. And that really haunted me.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with
2 more because it was lighter.
It was lighter. Yeah. I'm going to go with BMX because I think that I did see this once and it was just so terrifying. And then it didn't become a mainstay like Terminator 2.
Okay. Now here's another one that I watched with Alon and Anton and Brian.
I don't remember seeing this much.
Ewok Adventure. This movie is so scary. It was a TV movie that takes place.
Why.
No one knows where this takes place in the Star Wars timeline. About this family that arrives on Endor. And immediately the parents get kidnapped by the Gorax, this like huge scary monster. And the little kids have to go with the Ewoks to go and save their parents. So it was terrifying. Then they made a sequel a couple years later the Ewok, the Battle for Endor. And in like the opening scene, they murder the whole family except the little girl.
Oh my God.
They murder them. They don't find out later that they survived. They all die.
Jeez.
Yeah. Nightmare
Wow.
fuel. So I can't, I mean, you're not going to pick that one because I don't think you ever watched it.
No, I don't think you would have allowed that.
BMX Bandits. It was a TV movie, but you got to talk about it. BMX Bandits or War Games with Matthew Broderick.
I would say Bandits because of the watchability. I don't even think Becky saw War Game.
But in terms of overall significance to movies, War Games is really important. War Games is even relevant in foreign policy and national security. It's about.
I mean, at the same time, Bandits launched like the face of Nicole Kidman. And I think you could argue that her importance in our popular culture is just as like important as foreign policy.
I mean, right now, whenever you go see an AMC movie, you see
she's there with you. So I'm just saying.
We laugh here. We eat popcorn here. And they're making like a sequel to that one too.
Yes, but yeah, War Games. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Scarface, which I didn't see till around 1990 when we were visiting the Goodmans in Israel. I saw with Hebrew subtitles. That scared the living daylights out of me. By the way, also I was 10.
That's hilarious. I didn't see it till
a guy's head in the beginning of that movie.
I didn't see that till I was way older, so that doesn't even count. I don't connect that with our childhood.
When they chainsaw that guy's head at the beginning of the movie, I was never the same after that.
It's insane that you saw that.
The Outsiders, which I didn't know about till I read the book in high school.
Same.
Okay.
That's 83.
Okay. Now here's one.
Funny boy.
Here's one that we didn't watch a lot because it scared the crap out of me. The original Gremlins.
But Gremlins 2 is so much like cuter and more fun.
No,
we watched that endlessly.
Mainstay of our house. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But
and
Gremlins,
I would say
the original is a very scary movie for kids. It's a great.
It is, but who was? I guess it was for adults. They made that movie for. Of course, mom and dad never read the backs of movies. A lot of these
movies were.
Mom and dad just like put this kind of crap on for us that scare the living shit out of us because they probably were like, "Oh, look, it's a cute little doll," and they don't.
The movies that I listed,
there was no IMDb.
I gotta tell you, when I looked at the list of movies, it wasn't like there were a ton of other kids' movies at this time. Like these are the movies.
These are the movies. I wonder, like, there's no like Disney movie going out.
I put down the movies that we saw, right? So I put down movies that like as a family we were watching. These are or that like I'm aware of, but there weren't a ton of other options. This is what there was to watch then. Okay, so Gremlins, great movie, but you're going to take BMX over that?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is for me where BMX falls because the original Ghostbusters came out then.
Oh, yeah, I guess. This list is going to take us way too long. There's too many of these movies. You're going to have to skip some of them.
We're going to go fast. So get Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters or BMX Bandits. To me, Ghostbusters is my favorite Bill Murray movie. I just love everything about that movie.
I agree. It's the first, like, I remember that library scene. I had to fast forward it for so many years when I watched Ghostbusters.
Also, nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ghostbusters. That was, you're right. Okay.
Starman with Jeff Bridges. That's only on there for mom because it's one of her hunks.
Yeah.
Strange Brew. I didn't know about it until we lived in Canada. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Didn't see that till many years later. That's the one where they tear the hearts out and has all the racism. I mean, other than the fact that it gave us short round, that one doesn't last for me at all.
Okay.
Cafe Obi-Wan is pretty good. Trading Places, I love as I'm older, but I don't know if that's better than Ghostbusters.
Not better than Ghostbusters.
Great, but not better than Ghostbusters.
No.
Risky Business.
I didn't watch that till I was way older.
Yeah, that's another one. That was just like a movie that mom was like, this movie's so funny. You should watch it.
Right. I mean, yeah, I probably watched it too young, but I didn't watch it like when I was
Here's
one.
When I remember coming
This
down.
one I've never heard of.
I remember not being able to sleep, coming down to see this next one. Called Ice Pirates, starring Robert Urich, Angelica Houston, and Ron Perlman, and it was like a sci-fi. Mom and Dad, I think they saw Star Wars, and they were like, "We will now watch every sci-fi movie if it has space in it. We will watch it." I've never actually finished this.
Ice Pirates, really? It's hard. Milking the Star Wars for all it's worth.
Spinal Tap, I didn't see till I was a teenager.
I was in college when I saw it. It's brilliant.
Okay. Here's another big one for us that we did watch many times, but scared the crap out of us: Cloak and Dagger.
The movie was terrifying. Why did I find that movie so scary? The guy that's missing the finger
Well, there's the woman missing the fingers.
Oh, the woman missing
with
the white gloves.
Being almost killed. There's the guy that gets the needle in his neck.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. That movie is really
the
scary.
Imaginary hero, the grand finale is him getting shot with a machine gun.
Right? Again, Henry Thomas, Dabney Coleman. God, Henry Thomas is such a formative part of our childhood.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor. Okay,
I know.
Now this is one that I didn't really.
Can they put him in the next White Lotus? Why isn't he in the next White Lotus?
Ooh,
Let's give him a little
in the next White Lotus.
Yeah, Henry. Yeah, Thomasons. Where's the Henry Thomasons?
Okay, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, starring Christopher Lambert and Andy McDowell.
No,
I just wanted to say that because of the Conan the Destroyer. This is the goofy Conan movie. There's two.
Yeah, but this entire subject, I went to read like something. I discovered books during your Conan the Barbarian phase.
In the background on TV. No, I didn't really rewatch till I was older, and that's the dumb Conan movie. So we're still writing
Ghostbusters.
Romancing the Stone is totally
love that movie. I used to watch that with mom. I watched that with mom.
The definition of the Romaction movie, the man and woman arguing the whole time.
It's so great.
It's so great. While solving a mystery.
Yeah. It's Michael Douglas, please.
But that are Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
What are you picking?
Oh, Ghostbusters, obviously.
Okay, they're kind of.
You're going to have to go faster. There's no way people are listening to this whole episode.
Okay, I'm going to skip all the way down to the last.
Ooh, 16 Candles is 1984?
Hmm.
I saw that movie so many times. Does not hold up. Careful with that one.
Yeah, that one. The Goldbergs has a great episode about it. Okay, we're doing the last few here. Footloose or Ghostbusters.
Ooh, see, Footloose is more me and Becky. Me and Becky watch that endlessly, so I have to go Ghostbusters if this episode is about me and you.
The First Karate Kid.
Ooh, I was just talking about it yesterday.
The answer for me for that one is the one that my real memory of that movie is the three of us watching Karate Kid Part 2. So it's like a trick question.
So it's a trick question. I'm going to go with Ghostbusters. No, I just feel like, I don't know. Okay, Ghostbusters, fine. Karate Kid is huge, but yeah, fine.
We're going with your list. Okay, Jaws?
No. Gosh, I didn't see Jaws till I was in college, I think.
I mean, one of the greatest movies of all time, but it's not.
It is. I definitely didn't watch it.
And
when I did see it, like as almost a young adult, I remember like being nervous to go in a bathtub. And it was a bathtub.
The first one I saw was Jaws 3, where there's.
I was like, is it possible for a shark to get in this bathtub?
And I've been afraid of the water and sharks.
Yeah.
Wow, really? This was a lot of.
It was very productive years, but I guess people didn't have children. Because what did kids watch?
I mean, like Splash.
Yentl?
Splash
Jesus.
was like Splash and Yentl.
This was the kids' movie.
Family movies.
Yeah, exactly. And Flashdance, 1983.
Police Academy and Revenge of the Nerds. Like I watched Revenge of the Nerds when I was 7. I remember I watched it at Mario and Jan's house in their old town house with one of my friends from Philly after we moved to Montreal.
But like Mr. Mom, which is ahead of its time. Love Michael Keaton. And then you've got Bachelor Party. But like, honestly, I do wonder why our generation is the way it is. These movies are a lot.
All right, so the last one, Ghostbusters or
Neverending Story, hands down. Always will win. Always will win. My son was asking me, 6. He's asking if he could watch it. And I was like, you're way too young to watch that movie. It's going to scare you. And then I was like, when did I watch it? Oh yeah. I was at least 3, probably 2, definitely 4.
Looks like you were 2.
Yeah.
Looks like you were 1.5.
1.5.
In a few months.
And I have vivid memories of watching that movie. And I would ask you when the wolf part was coming out, and I'd hide behind the staircase. The TV was in front of the stairs, so I could sit on the stairs and not see Gmork, like the wolf, pop out and attack Atreyu. And I'd go on the stairs and hide. And you were supposed to tell me when it was safe to come out. And you would tell me right as the wolf was jumping out. Like every time I would just get terrified. And then Ari's like, but I know there's a wolf in the movie. Is he scared? And I was like, is he scary? And I'm like, you know what? I have to say in retrospect, not that scary. If you've been like forced to watch it many, many times as a child, it loses its thing. But also probably the first time very scary.
I think that is the most quintessential
Cheyenne Lily
before
movie.
Becky's Cheyenne Lily movie and moment. And now all three of us have watched it a million times. But that I like, my memories of that are in the old house in Philly before Becky was born, or when she was very little and just sleeping in that.
Mom just like threw us downstairs with like adventure, like terrifying fantasy.
Maybe that's why we watched it. Becky was born, but not that far before Becky was born.
No,
Mom was very pregnant when it came out.
And Arya's not seen it, but yet I guess knows a lot about it, and is like, so when they're in the swamp and the horse dies, why does the horse die? And why doesn't the boy die? And I was like, Ari, the sadness will just eat you up. I was like, I don't know what else to say. I was like, he sinks because he's sad. That's what happens. That's the lesson to take away from that. I was like, I don't know what else to say, but this movie's amazing, but I'm definitely not letting you watch it.
All right, Lil, this has been a great episode. I feel like it's been all recommendations, so we don't really have more to add. These are honestly all just these are literally the movies that made you and me.
I suggest people watch the movies that we've talked about and then let us know if they hold up or not.
If there's one you haven't seen that we love, BMX Bandits, Buckaroo Banzai, like this, go and check out.
Right. Neverending Story. Maybe there's people who haven't seen Neverending Story.
Absolutely. And where can people follow you?
FNM Sisters on the gram.
You can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. All the Friday Night Movie shenanigans are at Friday Night Movie on the socials. And the website is FridayNightMovie.com. And the theme song is by What Does It Eat? Love you, Will. Bye.
Love you. Bye. I do wonder, though. Like, you had me, and then there was another kid, and it was just like another little girl. And you're like another little sister. Where you're just like, ugh, again?
No,
2 of them?
I very clearly remember walking out of the bathroom in the basement when I was really little, and Nancy Gilbert saying to me, "Are you excited for Mom to have another sister or another baby in the house?" And I remember just kind of like,
doesn't sound bad.
Looking at Nancy Gilbert, and I remember telling Mom that story, and Mom was like, "I told you that Becky was the first."
You're like, no.
I don't know. In my mind, Nancy Gilbert is the one that told me for sure. I had just like gone to the potty, walked out of that back room of the basement,
right, like a laundry area,
and there she was and I remember standing there just freezing as she was telling me about this and just being somewhat.
You're like, news to me.
Becky shows up in a basket. And
Becky was in a basket, and the mysterious wheel of cheese. You'll never ever. You'll never know who got us that cheese.
That was. I
remember Becky in the basket. I do remember Becky in the basket. I remember there being Hanukkah decorations.
Right, not a bassinet. It was like she was in
like a Moses basket. Yeah,
one step
like
above
a woven
basket.
Yeah, with like a handle. And there she was.